able to shake Wilson there, and now he's trying to get away from John Carlson. Pasternak's pass. Zadorov will return it. Pastrnak, wrist shot, scores! Register a shot on their first one back in the first period.
No, but they fanned on one by Geekie.
Here's Pastrnak with some space. McAvoy to the net. They find Lindholm, and he scores! Stroll off the draw. Can't quite get it. Pastrnak springs Geekie with an open net and put it away.
A lead for Arvidsson. Arvidsson pulls, drags, got around Levchinov, centered. Middlestead shoots, he scores! Playing in an elevated role with Jeannot and Mitten. Eyssimont shoots, fired, they score! Tanner Jeannot just up. Pastrnak catches. Power play looking for its first shot on goal of the night. Sent across, fought for, they score! I think it might have been Elias Lindholm. It squirts to Mitten. He's going to have a long 2-on-1 with Geekie. Mitten, game on his stick, walks in, shoots, he scores! Wedged up top, Teague stopped it with his glove. Back of the net, it goes. Here's Harris. Fired by Zacha, he scores! He cranked it off the end boards, bothered as he was coming in to shoot that puck. Out in front, they score! This lob shot deflects home! Corrali was camped out in front. Thompson couldn't pull the trigger, knocked out by McAvoy. Batted out to the neutral zone. Here's Lindholm with 4. Center, deflected, they score! Sean Corali to Zacha. Arvidsson, Middlestead, shoots, he scores! Harris played it up the wall, and it's tapped ahead, 2-on-1. Harris with Zacha, Harris shoots, he scores! Zacha out there with Geekie, fired, they score! Off another clean face-off when Morgan Geekie
goes in behind the net. Gunther trying to send it right back to the front. Shot and a goal. Put home. J. Peterka with his first
of this organization. You're helping the crew
out here,
put out
guys.
towels.
Here's a chance. Peterka's in. Peterka, baby.
But Marco Sturm had mentioned that at this point he's feeling better. They score out in front. Tanner Jeannot got that loose puck, camped out in front of Schmid. Jokiharju across. They score! Nikita Zadorov with that wrister. There was some traffic out in front. Couldn't uncork it the way he wanted to. Pastrnak shoots. He scores! David Pastrnak whistles one in on the power play. Kastelik shoots. He scores! Mark Kastelik. Vegas trying to blow the zone. Lohrei intercepts it. Eyssimont walks it back in. Shoots. He scores! By Lindholm. McAvoy. Wrister. Deflected. Fired. Pastrnak. They score! Jokiharju got a piece of that aerial pass. And now Pastrnak rushes back in. Centers. Pastrnak shoots. He scores!
Working on Balinskis, cuts in, and Balinskis stood him up in the circle.
Oh, it looked like a little glimmer of room there.
Out in front, tapped along, they score! Pavel Zacha! Pressured by Ekblad. Geekie tried to work it out for Zacha. No penalty called. Pastrnak out high. A shot! Score! Middlestad's good night continues at the dot. Moved off. Pastrnak a shot. They score! Morgan Geekie!
But they wanted to make sure what was best short-term and long-term for him. Zacha shoots the rebound. They score! Casey Middlestad. Near side steal by Geekie. Colangelo gets it back. And the Bruins tag up, bring it back in. Geekie, wrister, he scores! To Arvidsson, second unit starting because the first unit was on the ice when the penalty was issued. Lohrei shoots, he scores! Bruins are going to start with possession. McAvoy, Pastrnak, shoots, he scores! That tied the game at 1 in the first period. Zadorov powers in, centered, they score! And the Bruins get it out to center ice, might have a 2-on-1. Here's Chanot to the slot, backhand, they score! Geekie, 5 seconds left. He scores!
Thought about it, Sergachev. Here comes Cooley. Can't handle it, but right and a goal! And it's J.J. Peterka!
Looking for the first shot on net for the Bruins in the first 3 minutes. Held in by Geekie, fires, he scores! Geekie to McAvoy. Now Pastrnak. Zacha centered, they score! Elias Lindholm sizzle! Pastrnak. Up top, a nifty pass to Peak. Hampus Lindholm across Pastrnak, he scores! McAvoy, Corrali, Zadorov. Open is McAvoy, they score! The Bruins have come roaring back. Lindholm, Geekie. Pastrnak heading to the front of the net. Geekie, here it comes. He scores! Here's Barzal walking the line, watched by Eyssimont. Eyssimont with a steal. He'll feather it ahead. Walking in. It's Minten. He scores!
Darnell Nurse trying to chip and chase. Can't do it. Peterka the other way. Peterka shoots. He scores. What a shot!
24 seconds left on the Dahlin penalties. We're scoreless. Zacha enters, one-hands it across. Geekie shoots. He scores! Here's Pastrnak, 2-on-1. He'll race ahead, sitting on 397 goals. He scores! And now we'll never know. Janot. He'll barrel in. Drops. Sent toward the net. Flying the save. They score! That he had against Pastrnak. A steal. 3-on-1. Hustadinov and Lindholm. Hustadinov. He scores! Or pardon me, Ehlers. 4-on-2 for the Bruins. McAvoy centers, deflected, they score!
Hard-working shift there by the Devils. Kings kept them to the outside, but the Devils had good puck possession.
Glendening with a pass out to Hallinan, and he gets his first goal on the sharp angle, and the Devils take a 2-0 lead.
Zacha set it out in front. Sorokin the same rebound. Zacha shoots, he scores! Hustadinov, Pastrnak to the slot. Mid knockdown, backhand, they score! The Bruins simply would not be denied. Marat Hustadinov able to hook.
Maybe a 2-on-1 for Boston. Chabot picked it out of midair, sweeping his stick at it.
Peak fires. They score! Andrew Peak back on the ice. That's a good sign. Corrali fires. He scores! McAvoy around a check. Centered. They score! Motors around a check. Lohrei, Geekie, shoots, he scores! Eyssimont, Hustadinov, Eyssimont, trying to stuff it home. He's celebrating as that puck went in. Bruins shuttle it ahead. Pastrnak one-on-one with Benoit. Pulls in the middle, shoots, he scores! Make it 399 goals for David Pastrnak. He sneaks one through Stolarz. Bruins 4, Leafs Leafs 2. Given away by the Leafs. Kastelik centers, Bitten shoots, he scores!
Arvidsson in deep, up the boards for Geekie, out to McAvoy, now Pastrnak. Now Hampus Lindholm into the corner, Steves back out, Eyssimont with it across for Lowry, who scored the last Bruins goal. Now Steves kept it away from Tavares. Steves scores!
Fortunately for Hill to be the rebound, not cashed in for the Bruins.
Now the lead pass, moving in on Hill to be scored! Pastrnak, number 400. Bruins lead by a goal. Kastelik, cross-ice pass.
Popped away from him, though. Nice recovery by Borgen. Middle of the ice. Rister scores! It deflected off Dastu trying to block it. What a play from Will Borgen. And the Rangers with a 4.
Peyton Krebs, Utah wins it. Marino trying to get a shot towards the net. It was blocked out high by Dunn, picked off by Peterka. Peterka's in, he shoots, he scores!
Zadorov to McAvoy. Pastrnak, center, deflected, they score! He'll hold. Geekie shoots, Merlin the save. Pastrnak, he scores! And a stick lifted by Greg.
Well, the crowd wanted a high sticking call on Lindholm.
Given away, Genoa shot. Kastelik, he scores!
He looks to get it out. Holmstrom.
There's the gap that we were talking about, right?
Perfect play, Marino. Across, Kraus. Kraus to the front, they score! Jay Peterka! And Jay...
With the pass down low right to Dobson. Bruins with a steal, Zadorov across. Pastrnak, Pustanina fires, he scores! As this puck is dribbled in, Montembeault steers to the side. Kastelik. Lowry fires, he scores! Mason Lowry!
Board battle here, Cooley. Why wait? Somebody make a play, right? Just go for it. Here's an opportunity. Peterka's in. Peterka scores! J.J. Peterka, speed inside the zone. Peterka shoots, and he scores! J.J. Peterka's tied it!
It's a Bruins Ford Bronco horsepower play. Geekie wings it across. Zacha up top, Lindholm. Shoots, deflected. He scores! Zadorov to Eyssimont. 2-on-1. Eyssimont pulls to the middle, shoots, he scores! Walks to the middle, hands to Pastrnak. Shoots, deflected, they score! That low shot sifted its way through traffic. I think Morgan Geekie's got his second of the night. Kempe hacked it out. Glove down by Zadorov. Back on side of Steves. Enters. Up high, Geekie, he scores! Ripped it out to center ice. Pastrnak grabs it. Pastrnak, Geekie, shoots, he scores! Morgan Geekie ripped one from the right circle. He blew it by Darcy Kemper.
Energy definitely seems better here in the early stages, doesn't it, Nicky?
No doubt.
Schmidt, Rister, loose, they score! J.J. Peterka!
Drops for Joki Harju. Pastrnak. Left to the cage. Sent out in front, they score! That's his 5th goal on the trip.
Yeah, kind of one-sided.
Bruins send it out in front, they score! Alex Steves camped out in front, took that. Zadorov darts around a check, shoots. Sorokin kicks out a big rebound in the slot. Janot fires, he scores! Schaefer to the slot, picked off. 2-on-1. Here's Steves with Mitten. Mitten left circle, pulls, drags, centered, they score!
off the draw. Open in front, Middlestead for Lindholm, and crept wide, batted away from an open net. Now they score! It looked like somehow that puck.
You could say that about 3/4 of the teams around the NHL right now.
Here's Yoki Haru, he scores! Morgan Geekie might have gotten a piece in the high slot.
For the Jackets here on a 2-on-1 shorthanded. Miles Wood with Gaunce, dangles, Wood to Gaunce, score! Brendan Gaunce, shorthanded.
Now digging away is Callahan down low. Steves races. Sherratt gave it away. Sent out in front. They score! That's 19 goals for Morgan Geekie. Lindholm. To Lindholm. To the slot. Middlestead. Geekie shoots. He scores!
Quick response. I think I knew what it stood for, Nick.
Well, I didn't, so you got that on me, but hit the rewind button, take out your camera.
And a goal! Sharp angle, Peterka over the shoulder, and it's a one.
Hits two guys in the end boards and gets the puck. Up to Zadorov, across. One-timer coming. He scores! Jonathan Aspero's first NHL goal. He wires it through Gibson. Geekie. Lindholm shoots. Gibson the save. Rebound. They score! Alex Steves able to... Red Wings get back. Geekie leaves. Lindholm. Center. They score! Parad Hostadinov with a backhand tip. Here's Zacha. 10. Steves shoots. He scores! Alex Steves with 10 seconds left.
Marino with full flight. Keller. Drop pass. Peterka. Smokes. Peterka. They score! Along the boards, tailing behind Killorn. Mintyukov overskates it. A big jailbreak. Here they come. Gunther. Keller. Gunther across. They score. Peterka.
Edmonton chose not to match. Now Aspero. A dish. Lindholm. Geekie. Center. Steves. He scores! Dvorsky takes a look. Took a shoulder from Steves. Now Broberg, hit by Steves, centered, they score! Right out in front, Morgan Geekie. Zacha cuts to the middle, little space, he scores! Pavel Zacha! Up top, Middlestead. Now Lindholm with 5. Middlestead shoots, Pennington the save, the rebound, they score! Did they get that in time? Pavel Zacha, man, just scored a...
Radishyn to play the puck. Now Brodzinski back out for Susie. Here is Borgen moving in with a shot. Score! 3-1 Rangers. Only 2 Senators were able to get off to the bench.
Off a skate, angled in by Jeannot. Paslick takes a look, tries to center. Gets it out in front, they score! Fraser Minten! Geekie. Zadorov fires, deflected just wide by Lindholm, who gets it back, centered. They score! Goes to Peak, up the wall, Arvidsson, he'll walk it out with Zacha. Returns Arvidsson to the slot. They score! Shoots, that's blocked. Minten gets it back. Pastrnak chopped it out in front. Minten shoots, he scores! Back to Jeannot. Up top, Soderstrom. Shoots, deflected, they score! I think Sean Corrali got a piece of that one. Stays with it, trying to get it out in front. Zadorov shot it out in front, they score! Or Kastelik! Up top, Hampus Lindholm across Peak, shoots off the post! Pastrnak to the slot, Minten shoots, he scores! Blues still alive. Pastrnak at steal, up top, Zacha, he scores! Across! Geekie couldn't handle it. Off the toe of his stick. Pastrnak shoots. He scores! He enters with possession to Hustadinov. Back up top. Lindholm shoots and covered the save. Rebound. Middlestat. He's got McAvoy. Kastelik. Chopped into the slot. Corrali. Backhand. He's scores! Pastrnak. Backhand. Comrie stick save. Pastrnak shoots. Comrie again. Lindholm. He scores! Now Lindholm. Geekie. Zadorov traps it. Fan on a shot. Rims it. Pastrnak. Centered. They score! What a dish that was from
Pastrnak tried to feed him in the offensive zone after the steal, and then he finds him in mid-ice.
Here's Pastrnak, walks in, shoots, he scores!
Chandler Stevenson is there, taken away by Peterka. He'll get it out. Peterka looking to the empty net, he scores! What an effort!
Chased by Trenyon, Steves, Gustafsson got a piece of it. Now Eyssimont, centered. They battle, fired, they score! The St. Paul native Alex Steves. Geekie plays it off the wall, he has to settle it. Zacha, out in front, Pastrnak, across Geekie, he scores! The power play goal in the first, Zadorov. Popping out, Pastrnak, wings it out in front, Geekie scores! Cooley with a drive that got blocked, he got Middlestat. Up ice, grabs it, got a guy cutting to the slot, it's fired just wide, Middlestat, he scores! Mata lost it, Eyssimont, he'll speed his way in, around the check, cuts in, backhand, he scores! Lindholm, Zacha, backhand, he scores! McAvoy. Pastrnak catches, looking for the bumper, tapped up top. McAvoy, little screen, Geekie shoots, he scores! And now here's Middlestat working against Myers. Middlestat pulls up into the slot, Zadorov, he scores! Kastelik, Jeannot, blocked, held in by Soderstrom. Kastelik centered, they score! Geekie. Just under a minute left here in the first. Pastrnak. Zacha. Pastrnak shoots. He scores! And the team that's in last of the Toronto Maple Leafs, trailing right now in Dallas. McAvoy shoots. He scores!
Plays it in behind the net. Keller's got it. Keller back to the front. Schmaltz trying to tee one up. Keller with it right to the front. They score! J.J. Peterka!
Steves shoots, Fowler the save. Lohrei fakes to the dot. Houston scores! Now Middlestat. Bruins sip the puck across. Pastrnak to Steves. Shoots, he scores!
Rest of the team, Judd, early in the year, it was a question mark. The team was a question mark.
Pastrnak fires, he scores!
Hold it in the zone. Good keep by Sergachev. And down low, Gunther walking it to the front. They score! Peterka! Oh, what a setup!
Couldn't get it through some legs. Stastny nowhere to go with the puck. Here's Zacha. McAvoy shoots just wide. Pastrnak banks. He scores! One of them was McAvoy. Arvidsson drops. Middlestat shoots. He scores! Gathers some speed, brings it across. Minton, Lindholm, penalty is over. Lindholm shoots. He scores! Who's playing D? 2-on-1 the other way. Pastrnak, right circle, walks in, pulls, centers, Espero, he scores! Intercepted by Steves. Not sure if that's onside. Bruins fire it, they score! Elias Lindholm with a and on behalf of all of us here at NESN, Happy New Year! Pastrnak shoots and scores! What a way to start 2026!
To Andy Ruff.
So the Bryson penalty came to an end, and now it's a sort of a breakaway for Gaunce. All alone, he scores!
Here's Minten. He'll pivot, protect to Steves at the hash marks. Into the slot. Minten shoots. He scores! Pastrnak. McAvoy. Pastrnak. Got an option back door. Send it out in front. They score! David Pastrnak dished it out in front. And it looks like it bounces off Elias Lindholm. Minten now. Escapes a stick check. Up top, Pastrnak. Shoots. Flicking in the same. They score! The Vancouver kid. He's got. Almost gave it away up top. Slap to the near hash. The Bruins drive it the other way. Pastrnak find everybody. Fakes. Shoots. He scores! Lindholm's pass a little bit too far. Pastrnak does catch it. Leaves it. McAvoy joins. Centers. Backdoor. They score! As this is sent out in front. Decord digging away. Arvidsson trying to get to it. It's cued free. Florey shoots. He scores! At 6'7", Klapka's going to head off the ice. Jeannot. A bank to rally. Shoots. He scores! Oh, the Bruins trying to tap it out. Pastrnak. A dish ahead. Hustanenov. A step to the dot. Pastrnak across. They score! Elias Lindholm, the benefit. Coughed up. Corrali. Lohrei fakes to the middle. Shoots. He scores! Centered. Oh, he tried to make it a little area pass to Zacha. Middlestat shoots. Wolf the save. Rebound available. They score! Casey Middlestat.
After a long hiring process, became the Bruins coach.
Yeah, he told us earlier this year, about 8 weeks. Hustanenov scores! Arvidsson fires one off the skate of Pavel Zacha. Through center, Zacha on the takeaway. Zacha moving in. Zacha shoots! Score! Fed along for Zacha. Pastrnak denied. Lindholm loose. And Quick kept it out. McAvoy. Geekie is stopped on the one-timer. It's more than close. It's a goal for the Bruins.
Yeah, Schneider gets across to help out.
And then a last-ditch effort from Trocheck broke it up.
Man, Arvidsson's had 3 or 4 chances to shoot the puck today, and he's tried to pass it every time.
This pass leads to a goal. The Bruins score with Fraser Minten off the feed. Rangers go hunting after Zadorov. Hustanenov back in. Hustanenov side of the net, out in front. Hustanenov scores! And then Arvidsson got dumped below the goal line as well by Carson Soucy. Middlestat for Zacha with 2 already. He scores! His first career hat trick. And out toward center ice for David Pastrnak. He's been setting it up all day. Pastrnak looking backdoor. Score! Charlie Mac.
Creativity. I just love watching the way he tries to figure out how he's going to get the puck to the net or create another chance.
Tip score! Hustanenov! It's a hat trick. Trade deadline. At the line, Minten got bumped. Pastrnak carries and pulls up on Trocheck. Score! Fraser Minten.
From his team, he coached the German Olympic team to a silver medal in 2018.
Tip score!
That's Hustanenov again.
His 4th on the...
Zacha now, chased by Comfer. His backhand, Lohrei with that long reach. Zacha shoots, he scores! A little different look here for the Bruins on this combination. McAvoy fires, follows his shot, centered, he scores! And they win this one. Jeannot muscled it ahead. Back in the Red Wings end. Kastelik, one hand, he scores!
Not just for Salt Lake City, but the state of Utah, and now bringing another marquee event to the state.
They just need a PWHL team here, Roxy.
Score! Just throwing it to the net from the wing.
He'll drag it out in front. Ripped it through the middle. Hustanenov, a step left to the cage. Backhand, he scores! The pull-ups that he would do, and he would go last. Did anybody ever give him a run for his money?
Kevin Miller did. But
But you know,
They score!
What a play.
Mark Kastelik. 21 seconds left. It lays back of the net. McAvoy played it around. Out to center ice. Pastrnak shoots. He scores!
I hope he can fast track that healing process to get back out there as soon as possible.
Here's Clifton, a shot. He scores! Connor Clifton with his first.
Shields it from Mikheyev. Up top, Lindholm. Centered. They score! Charlie McAvoy. A wicket. To Zacha. Stutter step. Watched by Bedard. Back of the net. Zacha. Lindholm, little room, right circle, fired, they score! Mason Lohrei! In the corner, Mitten, try to play off a check, strong enough to get it up top. Here's Lohrei, fires, he scores! Bruins able to get it from him, transitioning the other way, Pastrnak shakes, centers, they score! A spectacular! On the half wall, McAvoy. A head fake. Zacha. Move to Lindholm. Pastrnak fires. They score! Janot finished his check hard on Faksa. Pulled out by Zadorov. Zadorov. Mitten. Backhand. He scores!
Boot. Boot drags it to the front. Boot. Trying to jam it past Ersson. They score! J.J. Peterka.
Here's Geekie. Up top, McAvoy to Pastrnak. Drilled, they score! Now Lindholm, center point McAvoy. Geekie, Pastrnak centered, they score! And one other note, this is the best road penalty kill in the league in Vegas. Bruins a steal, Janot shoots, he scores! Bruins steered out to the neutral zone. Pastrnak an area pass. Zadorov skates into it. Sends out in front. He scores!
And Gunther now will go the other way. Flips it back to center. Peterka's there. Penalty coming up. That's going to be a goal. That is a goal.
And Swayman denied him. Up ice is Pastrnak, who's defending for Montreal. Pastrnak centers. Geekie. He scores! Now Mitten tried to thread it. Mitten backhand. He scores! Bruins start with possession. McAvoy, Pastrnak, and Montembeault the save. He saw it at the last second, and over the glass it goes. And now Geekie is pointing where that puck is. Pulls around to check. Walks in. He'll turn on the half wall, takes a look across the ice, deflected, they score! That quick looked like he wanted to try and stop it, but he couldn't do it with the blocker. Pastrnak shakes, shoots, blocked, Lindholm, he scores! Lohrei keeps it in. Pastrnak shields. Geekie shoots, he scores!
Around behind for Lafreniere. Now Panarin with it for the Rangers. Here is Borgen with a shot. Score! Traffic in front. The Rangers tie it with 6:17 remaining.
Mitten sixth among rookies in scoring. He wins the draw. Lohrei across. Lindholm shoots. They score!
Shown to everybody, like I said, in the last 30 games, that he's got a lot left to prove in tank.
Geekie shoots. He scores! Kastelik goes to change. Now Hustadinov. Pastrnak. McAvoy. Centers. They score! Make that pasta to go! This puck is brought in by Aspro to Geekie. Threw it to the slot. Zacha. He scores! Somebody's without a glove.
Yeah, Peak, I think.
Middlestat tips around a check. Carries it in. Mitten space. Shoots. He scores! 3-1 Bruins. Mitten, who scored this period. Centers. Ersson the stop. Middlestat. He scores! This line has been bought.
dozen. Now Corrali draws some contact, trying to spin off at Peak. Here it comes. He scores! Andrew Peak from the right point. It looked like it may have glanced off something. And I think it was Tanner Jeannot. Aspero wings it to McAvoy. He'll wire it all the way down. Deflected. Hustadinov shoots. He scores!
Hurricanes, no matter what the score is, they're not going to go away. We'll see if the Mammoth can get back to the great game they played earlier in the period.
Barrett Hayton, shot and a goal! It's just like that, right back in front. J.J. Peterka.
Playing his fourth outdoor game. He had a thrill, scored an outdoor game winner at Notre Dame Stadium. Centering pass and a goal. The Bruins have tied it. 60 shots at 90 miles an hour or more, far and away the most in the NHL. And a goal that sneaks through Vasilevsky. Jonathan Aspero's out on defense for Boston. He played it around. Kastelik tried to break free, couldn't get away from Hedman. Now a centering pass for Patrick, and he scores. Matthew Patrick. And David Pastrnak hasn't scored any of them. Trying to join the score sheet. Instead, he passed to Geekie, who scores again. Morgan Geekie.
I mean, this is the team we saw on the homestand. They are flying tonight. Yamamoto side of the net, trying to put it home. Peterka, he scores! Tyler Yamamoto with another point.
Yeah, no fewer than 19 players between these two teams going to the Olympics. There's a chance for Boston, and we are tied. Mikey Eyssimont kicks in front, guided away by Corrali, and out of the box, Eyssimont. Does he have another breakaway? He's in. Mikey Eyssimont delays. Can he tuck it home? He scores! Mikey Eyssimont. Jeannot drops the shoulder. Kastelik can try, misses far side. Point to McAvoy. Winds the blast. That redirects in. They score. Kastelik in front. Great having you. We appreciate it, Lauren. This is power play chance number 6 for Boston. Thrown to that rebound. Middlestat score! And the Bruins have tied the game up at 4.
Up top. Driven to Geekie. Pastrnak now. Geekie. He scores! And this puck deflects off to Jeannot and out. Now Corrali bursts in, far circle, shoots, he scores!
Clifton right back to Mantha, guides it over to Shea. He'll fire off the crossbar. Then Clifton off the crossbar and in! Second time's the charm.
Off the draw, Lindholm finds a cutter, score! It's McAvoy with the answer!
Now Perreault with it. 6 skaters on the ice for the Rangers. Here's Borgen. Now Zibanejad. Zibanejad for Miller. The redirect stopped by Merzlikins. They score! The Rangers pull to within 1.
You know, this whole period we've been able to...
Worked on by Kindle. A couple of rookies. Kindle only 18 years old. Hustadinov shoots, he scores! He battles with Chinakhov. High slots at Orov. Shoots! Skinner the save. They score! Casey Mittelstadt wide open.
To the line, Durzi. 20 to go in the power play. Cooley to the middle. They shoot and they score. J.J. Peterka.
Lindholm in for the draw against Haula. The Bruins start with possession. McAvoy, Geekie, he scores!
Hasn't been the case tonight.
And you can make an argument that in Philadelphia, the game they lost, as McAvoy shoots and scores!
Now some speed for Pavel Zacha. Pastrnak drops it back, lots of room. McAvoy down low, Zacha scores! 30 seconds to go in regulation. That one thrown right toward the net. Couldn't tell if it hit Swayman or Protas. Pastrnak with the net empty. Elias Lindholm scores!
Luke Hughes robbed, and Trocheck exits the zone. Another terrific save by Jonathan Quick. This shot by Borgen. Score! raise the trailer.
34 goals. Pastrnak tried to toe drag. It's poked away. Kept by McAvoy. Geekie now. Moves it across. One-timer. Score! Pavel Zacha. Solovyov pokes the puck free from Zacha. Kept alive by the Bruins. Arvidsson centers. Zacha Deeks scores! What a goal!
From our angle up here, Alex, but Carlson, right? He's not going to be hesitant to stay now deep in the offense.
Pastrnak to take away, and he scores! Hops off a stick in the air. Sent to the front. Zacha scores! A hat trick for Pavel Zacha!
Arvidsson now pulls it free. Florey, plenty of room. Shoots. He scores! Kaslik had to stay on. Up ice. Pastrnak onside. McAvoy. Backhand. He scores! They haven't made the playoffs since 2019. They were in the Western Conference Final that year. They score! Out in front, Fraser Minten.
Game at home, but you get a big stop.
Pastrnak a drive, and he scores!
Vlasic steps in front. He'll motor it out, but he can't. Carcone the other way. Peterka scores! J.J. Peterka!
Bruins trying to crowd the net. Pastrnak back to McAvoy. Scores! A knuckleball through traffic. 2-1 Washington. Trying to continue with success on home ice. They're 6-1 in the last 7 here. That one's tipped in. Just keep flipping it from the point.
Nadinov, the Russian winger, back to the line. Jokiharju was shot, fought off there. Pasta in front, scores! David Pastrnak on the rebound. Middlestat, look out, Weeksy. A tumble there for Gritsyuk, and an outlet for Arvidsson. In alone, Arvidsson, Zacha, score! Meyer back toward the net, and clips Siegenthaler behind the play. Pastrnak on the move. Pastrnak drags, backhand, score! That is sick from Pastrnak! Wow!
Hanging high. Pastrnak swerves right, shoots, didn't get through, backhand, they score! Pavel Zacha, that ties his career high. He'll wheel his way in, pulls up, hits Arvidsson, sent out in front, they score! Pavel Zacha! McAvoy, Pastrnak shoots, Hellebuyck the save, puck in some feet. Pastrnak knocked it out of midair, shoots, he scores! Zadorov grabs it. Up top, this long drive bounces off of Hellebuyck. They score! Pavel Zacha just ripped it top corner. Peak, he'll rattle it back to the net. Referee jumps out of the way. David Pastrnak open the scoring, centered. They score! The Bruins are going to sweep the season series against the Jets. Aspero fires, he scores!
And now Geekie. Pastrnak. McAvoy. Pastrnak! He scores! And that drought is over.
We certainly would give them more options, but
Geekie sends it down low. They score! Boston's back at full strength now. Some skating room for Zadorov. And he scores! Through a screen of Edvinsson. Battle for it. It winds up with Pastrnak with the net empty. Passes it off. Husnudinov scores! An empty net goal.
And now Jokiharju off the glass, out to center ice, 2-on-1. Lindholm shoots, he scores! McAvoy now looking back door, took a chop. Zacha, Pastrnak, they score! Zacha with a career-high 23 goals. And he's got a chance to break his career high in points. They score! David Pastrnak stood up, knocked down by Dahlin. Zacha faked a shot. Aspero shoots, blocker to side, rebound. They score! Casey Middlestat! Now Pastrnak will come with a little speed. Cuts to the middle. Zacha fires. He scores! Here's Arvidsson. 2-on-1. Arvidsson slows, centers. He scores! Pavel Zacha!
All the way down, and who's the first one to get to it is Castellan.
Geekie threads it. Lindholm shoots, kicked out by Gustafsson. They score! Referee jumps out of the way. Hughes got it off Zacha, but Middlestat swoops in. Middlestat turns, shoots, they score! Pounded out to center ice. And the Bruins have it. Here's Elias Lindholm, walks in. He scores! Now for Arvidsson. A drive to the corner, Zacha. Chipped up top. McAvoy shoots. He scores! Earlier in the game, Bruins slap it ahead. Here's McAvoy. The high tip. They score! I think Pavel Zacha got it in the high. Lindholm skied one back of the net off his stick. Centered out in front. Coyle at it. Poke check. They score! I think it's Pavel Zacha. Pastrnak directs up top. Joki Harju fires. Deflected and score! For Rod Ustinov. In that first wild card spot, Lindholm shoots. He scores! 13 seconds into the third period. Geekie sent it out in front. Here's Joki Harju. He scores! His first goal is a Bruin. McAvoy, Pastrnak, deflected on net. Bobrovsky to save the rebound. They score!
Back into the Utah zone. Over 4.5 minutes into the third. Peterka cuts it. Score! J.J. Peterka!
Up top, saucered by Zacha to the hash mark. Centered. Middlestat, he scores! Casey Middlestat!
Middlestat back out McAvoy. Swings to the right side, plays it back. One-time shot, save, rebound, put in front, and they score! Zacha.
Arvidsson drives it back to the net. Banked out in front. Here's Lindholm, walks in, shoots, he scores! Hampus Lindholm into a great shooting position. Pastrnak, far circle, pulls, backhand, just missed the short side. Geekie, he scores! Pastrnak, far circle, stutter step trying to shake Chatfield. Pastrnak out in front, they score! Zadorov. He'll wield in the middle, got a pick, shoots, he scores! Lindholm, up top, Arvidsson, McAvoy, left of the cage, out in front, Zacha, he scores!
Peterka back on it, good ozone time here. Carconi for Cole, seam, Peterka scores! What a setup from Cole!
Off the back wall, McAvoy moved away, sends it ahead. Morgan Geekie in alone. He scores!
Bruins with a steal deep in the Columbus end. Joki Harju fires. They score! That got deflected in. I think Mark Kastelik got it. He finished his check in the right corner. The Bruins get him a little puck support. Corrali center. Joki Harju fires. He scores! Shoots, deflected down and wide. You got the Blue Jackets on the run. Delayed penalty. Kastelik shoots. He scores!
Well, they say it's a second effort league, and wow, what a shove by the kids. Second effort all across the board on the boards to keep that play alive.
Pastrnak center, they score! Grab that puck. Morgan Geekie's gonna fish it out. He'll drive it up the left side to Janot. Kastelik playing in all 82 games this season. Kastelik fires, he scores! Lorei keeps it in. Now Kastelik, he scores!
And now they will as it's brought back to center. Kerfoot. And he'll go to the corner against Dylan Samberg. To the front, Peterka, score!
Pastrnak enters, shoots, blocked, rebound, Geekie, he scores! Morgan Geekie with a rocket in the slot. Rolled it around to Lindholm. Peak. Back of the net it goes. Pastrnak centered off the post by Geekie. Rebound, they score! Elias Lindholm. Poked by Lukin into the corner with 15. It squirts up top. Pastrnak. Fan on his pass. His backhand. They score! Geekie with it. Saw the pressure coming from the backside in Malenstein. He'll hoist the backhand in. They score! He'll turn away. Up top now McAvoy. Walks to the middle. Pastrnak. High tip. They score! Pavel Zacha! Pounded ahead. Here's Jeannot. Walks across the line. Shoots. He scores! Now Peak. Shoots. Line the save. Rebound. They score. Hook to the corner. Geekie. Now Lindholm walks out in front. Tried to bank it in. Lindholm shoots. He scores! Turned it over. Pushed ahead. Pastrnak outside. Walks in. Shoots. He scores! Your pasta is served by Lyon. Out at center ice, Pastrnak creates a turnover. Zacha 2-on-1. Pastrnak fires. He scores!